Hey guys, in this video we're going to go over a Google Sheets spreadsheet to help you not only track your budget but also your income and expenses to find out your cash flow. It's very easy. I'll go through the spreadsheet. It's like third grade math, not that complicated. I'll leave a link in the description so you can actually go to the file. You can copy it over to you and kind of adjust it so it's based off of your lifestyle. Remember, it's not only about just your income, it's not only about just your expenses, but how they work together to see how much you're able to save per month, find out your cash flow because cash flow is king. So let's dive into it. Alright guys, so we're going to jump into some spreadsheet action. I'm going to first show you, so I'm going to have a link in the description so you could access it and then like copy it into your own like Google Sheets and kind of use it how it works for you. So how to get to Google Sheets is just in your like Gmail, you got this Google Apps, you scroll down and you see Google Sheets. And this is where I just have this little example that we're going to go through. And a couple tabs. So let's get started. So we could first look at the format, right? So we can see each column has its own month. So you got January, February, March, April, and you could see that this view of it makes it very easy to see how things change over time. So like what did you spend last month versus what you spent this month, right? So then let's look at the different sections. So first we have income. I just broke this down by monthly. So if you get paid like first half of the month, for second half of the month, and then you got this sum, just giving you the total of both. And then you could always go into this, adjust it however you want, and then it just automatically updates the income here. So there you go. So that's the income. Then you have the expenses, and I broke this down. This is technically how I break mine down. If you want to adjust anything, like any of these titles, you can. If you want to add, subtract, or whatever, certain rows, like if you want to adjust some names, you can. Simple as that. Just go to the cell and change it. So we have like your rent or your mortgage. You have like any HOA, your car payments, car insurance, like Duke, different credit cards. And I just put the credit card amount there because it's super easy. You just look at your credit card statement, whatever the total is, I pop it in right here. That's it. Pros and cons to doing that, we'll get to that in a second. Any student loans, phone bills, others. So like I said, if you need to add like another row, you could always, add a row above or something like that, right? These are just dummy numbers, by the way. These are just like averages that I looked up of what an average person would spend on all of this. So then we have total expenses, summing up all of these expenses to give you that number. Okay. So now you have the income minus expenses. And we'll just change this back so you could see the cash flow. And this is the most important number that you need to understand. You look at your income, so in this example is $4,500 minus total expenses. This example is $4,350, and then you have your cash flow of $150, sorry. So it's only income minus expense, boom, it gives you your savings. All right, so that's what you need to know. If you're positive, if you're negative, where are you, right? So this is tracking historically. And that's good to know because, you might plan for a budget or what you're expecting to spend, but what actually happens could be completely different. So that's why I believe tracking it per month is good to know what you brought in versus what you spent. So now let's go into the actual budget part, and we could do this together of kind of how I set mine up real quick. So this is kind of setting, all right, how much can you decide like how much you're going to spend on your groceries or for restaurants or for, whatever, right? How do you set that up? We're going to go through that now. So we have the income right here. It's just pulling from what we saw above, right? So 4,500. Now, there are a lot of fixed costs, which means they don't change, right? Like you have your mortgage, it's not going to change. You have your car payments, it's not going to change. Like every month, that's going to be the same, okay? So you can't really do anything there. So these sections are just pulling, or most of them are just pulling from up above what we just looked at, right? So you got the mortgage, you got a car, that's incorporating the car payments and car insurance. You have energy. Energy kind of fluctuates, shouldn't be too much, but you kind of get the idea. Groceries is a big one. This is hard coded, it's not linked anywhere because are pretty variable. It depends what you actually spend on. Same thing with like any online payments, or like Amazon purchases, or wherever you buy your stuff online. Restaurants, huge one that you can actually change. And miscellaneous. Maybe you have doctor's appointments that you normally don't go to, but for this month, you got sick or something. Student loans, those are usually fixed. If you have variable, that might change a little bit. Then you have your phone, and then this is kind of what we're going to be calculating if you're able to save anything or invest anything, okay? So this is actual. This is what's actually happening. This is the budget that we're going to create. So let's try to set that up. So the income is going to remain the same. Mortgage, car, energy, let's say that remains the same. Let's say for groceries. All right, so that's going to be changing, so we'll come back to that. Student loans. Okay, so let's start with this. And this is per month. So just to get an idea, what we can do is do that divided by 4. I don't want to do that for mortgage because that doesn't really make sense. We'll do this for this stuff here, if that makes sense. Okay. So this is going to be weekly. Okay. All right. So we brought over the fixed amounts, the things that don't change, and we have a cash flow of this $1,450 that we're going to split up between these variable costs. So let's say you were purchasing like $500 a month. If you want to just put that in for now and just see how it looks first, this could help you budget. So look, if you do spend that $500 like you did, that's $125 a month, right? And right now you're saving $300, and that's not incorporating any like savings or anything. So for example, if you want to do, all right, let's try to do $400 on groceries per month, you could see it's only $100 monthly or weekly. Online, $50 a week, let's say, that might be good. You kind of want to limit the restaurants, so let's try to kick that down, and we're just throwing numbers out there at this point, right? Miscellaneous, that could be any extra things spent, Let's say you want to pay yourself $200 a month. You want to toward retirement of $100. And this is what we end up looking like. So you're able to see your cash flow is now $150. And you're able to see how it's broken down. So you have your groceries. That's your budget. So now weekly, you have your weekly budget of $100 for groceries. Online, don't spend more than $50 online. Or restaurants, don't spend more than $50 per week. And this is how you could kind of play around with numbers. So if you wanted to go even lower, see if that's possible. That's only, $37.50 per week. But at the end of the day, your cash flow is $200. So you could kind of play around with things that way. I would highly recommend having a minimum of like $100 for saving, $100 for Roth IRA. Roth IRA is for like retirement. Just start as early as possible, compound interest, right? And that's kind of how you're able to set it up. I think that's pretty important to how much money could you spend on groceries per month, right? So that's the first tab. You can play around with that. The next tab is for a little bit more detail, because before we saw like it was only per credit card, and each credit card might have, you don't know how much you're spending for groceries or restaurants. So this tab kind of breaks it down into those details. You got groceries, restaurants, Amazon, gas, insurance, whatever. So if you're looking for more detail, there it is. And then we have the budget tracker. All right. So this is what I created for myself that we're sticking to monthly for me and my wife. So this is to keep it updated currently. So what this does is just sum up the rows above it. This is the budget. So what we just created over here, here, we said, and you could always start lower, see if that's possible, and if you have to increase it a little bit. But that's where where we get this number from, right? So 500, let's say, well, we technically adjusted this. However you want to set it up. Amazon, 200. Restaurants, we adjusted this, right? Miscellaneous. And then you see what's left. So you got the budget minus the sum gives you how much you have in that category per month. And if you want to add additional rows, you can. But what we're essentially doing is, like, let's say you go to a restaurant and you spend $20. You put it here. Boom, it tracks it. You go to groceries. You do, boom, right there, it tracks it. And you see that you have $45 left in groceries in your budget. Or your Amazon, right? You spend $75 here. You have that much left. So this tracks it. It's kind of all in one. You actually see the numbers. You don't have to like pull out your notepad or something. I think this is a pretty good way to track it. And I'm starting to do this with my wife religiously. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this spreadsheet helps you out to help you budget for the new year in 2025. And this format is able to make it super easy so you actually stick with it. Again, link is in the description so you could get yourself a copy and adjust it how you see fit. So hopefully you guys have a good new year, and I'll see you in the next one.